Hey, what's up, guys? This is Cody the Coin Raptor, and welcome to my channel. Let's talk about some crypto chart TA. All right, for today, we're going to start with Ethereum. And Ethereum has been on fire, as I've said in the last couple of videos. Now, with Ethereum, one thing I've noticed here is that when you take a look at your daily RSI, it is massively overbought right now. It just moved down as I started this video, but before it was at about 71, so that is massively overbought. And right now it's moved down to about 66 or so. And what that tells me is that the demand for Ethereum right now is at a level that we haven't seen since April. Okay. Now, I think that with Ethereum, I'm bullish long term. Short term, we're going to probably wind up seeing a pullback because this is completely unsustainable. I've been waiting in the wings for a major dip that we've seen, similar to on the rise up here. We have a dip when it first went to 1580, and then it came all the way down to about 1384. I'm waiting for a $200 or $300 dip in order to actually get in myself. So right now we have kind of the start, a little bit of this dip, and Ethereum has shown that it does not have the volume or the demand right now to push above 2000. And 2000 has been a very strong level of resistance, especially psychologically speaking. It's nice and round, and on top of that, we have not seen enough volume to push through that level. So I'm waiting right now for Ethereum to pull back, trade sideways for a bit, and then reattempt to push through 2000. And right now, that could be as soon as tomorrow. And if the market opens up tomorrow and things are negative, I expect that Ethereum is going to pull back into a level that we've seen here at about 1700 or below that, at about 1570, somewhere in this range right here. And then I will be looking to make a buy for Ethereum. Bitcoin has been in this rising wedge that I previously described. It's still in the rising wedge, and in order to break out of it, it'd have to come down to about 23,000 or so. Now with Bitcoin also made a pretty big move on the RSI. I'd previously outlined that the 61 level was a strong resistance for Bitcoin and the RSI. It pushed out above that level, albeit very briefly, at about 63, and that's levels that we haven't seen for Bitcoin demand since the 4th of April. So some demand is coming back to Bitcoin, though most of it is going to Ethereum, and Bitcoin continues its upward trend line. I expect the Bitcoin's also going to make a pullback, and I'd like to make a buy below the support level. If it actually breaks through this rising wedge, that's a completely different story. Then it's not going to be looking as bearish. But if you can make I'm looking to make a buy at about 23,000, close to the bottom end of this wedge at 23,300 or so. And I believe that it's going to keep continuing. It's going to continue to move up and move up and move up. However, it's due for a pullback in the near term. Okay. Now, let's actually take a look at Bitcoin's realized price, because this is something I like to check in on every now and then. Bitcoin's realized price, you can kind of think of it like an average cost basis for all the Bitcoin in totality. So the realized price right now is at about 21,700. So we've been trading above this realized price for since I'd say the last 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks. We've been trading above this price since the 17th of July. Now, historically speaking, when you make buys below this realized price, it produces outsized returns, because what you're doing is you're buying under the average cost basis of Bitcoin. And it's only had about a month and a half or so. You've only had about a month and a half or so of time to buy Bitcoin under the realized price so far, with a very small dip coming in the 24th to 25th of July. So anytime you can make buys under the realized price, that has turned out to be a good deal. I would definitely like to make buys under the realized price, but it hasn't happened in a while. So for now, I'm waiting for again, a near-term pullback for Bitcoin and Ethereum in order to increase my stake as part of my DCA plan, my dollar cost average plan. All right. So I'll be watching this. I'll be trying to give you the information as I get it. I would definitely recommend to come to Crypto Quant and just take a look at the Bitcoin realized price and make buys under it. And if we do get under this realized price again, I will make sure I will let you guys know. So let's get to our news. So a former Goldman Sachs executive, he's actually pretty well known in the crypto Twitter space. He is Raoul Pal, okay? He was a former Goldman Sachs executive. He's actually been following the crypto space for some time now. He's saying that the macroeconomic environment has shifted, okay? Previously, it kept the crypto markets bearish for most of the year, and he's saying right now it is shifting. And I've covered many different stories and many different metrics that we've already talked about, things like our GDP and the inflation numbers, and the macro environment is changing. We're starting to see more positive information come out about the macro picture. And for him, he's saying that we're going into a recession. We should see things like the ISM, Institute for Supply Management survey, and other things start falling apart pretty quickly. And so what that's leading to is a evaporation of growth. Commodity prices are falling. They're down between 30 and 50%. And what that means is that the rate at which inflation is increasing should be falling. So we've seen that with the CPI index, that inflation's coming down. And when inflation comes down and bond yields fall, liquidity conditions improve, and that's what drives financial markets at the macro level, is the liquidity conditions. So in short, with the inflation coming down, you'll see more money coming into the market, and as more money comes into the market, you'll see demand improve, demand will skyrocket, and that will drive price. And I tend to agree with him here because I have seen quite a few metrics that have shifted from bearish to bullish that I've covered, and at this point, it looks like the bear market low is in back in June. Now that can always change depending on what happens in the world. If the U.S. gets into a kinetic war with China, that all bets are off the table. And also, if the Fed keeps raising rates and raising rates and raising rates, and they don't actually look at the macroeconomic picture or a drop in the CPI, we could see a huge plunge or a continued plunge in stock prices and in the crypto space. So there are some events, there are some outcomes that could be very bearish in the future. But for now, I remain cautiously optimistic. Speaking of bears, we also go over to Peter Schiff, who is a noted Bitcoin critic. He's predicting Bitcoin to crash to 10K. All right, and his thesis for this is that it will never recapture its all-time high. Now, Peter Schiff is not a big fan of Bitcoin. He is declared it dead multiple times. And he's also saying right now that Bitcoin margin calls have yet to be made, and investors will sell and will push the prices lower. So I don't want to always just give you the rosy picture. I want to give you the other side of it as well, the bearish picture. And according to Peter Schiff, he's saying that margin calls have yet to be made and investors will be prompted to sell. And basically they'll throw in the towel. Okay. Now, that's a possibility. I've certainly outlined there are a couple of bearish possibilities that involve the macroeconomic picture. But for him right now, he's saying that there is also there's a fundamental picture when it comes to these margin calls that could also drive the price lower. Now, the funny thing about this I've always found is that he's had quite a few issues with the current banking system, and he actually agreed, he has his own bank, but he agreed to liquidate his Euro-Pacific Bank in Puerto Rico and return 100% of customers' deposits and pay a hefty fine because of banking regulations and having serious insolvency issues. So he's had his own problems with the traditional banking system, but he still remains a fierce critic of Bitcoin. I'll let you guys make of that what you will. But that's all I've got for you today. If you like this content, please let me know. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment. I greatly appreciate it. This is Cody the Coin Raptor, signing out.